Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for 26th of August 2022. I'm Aaron McHale, covering for Benji Fisher. And today with us at the meeting, we have Emily Nouveau, Ralph Koller, Simone Helston, and just a small group today. And the issue that I've got up here is issue number 3293855. The user help text for user.admin permission is outdated. So actually that is that is a different issue. The issue I was going to present was my apologies, was 2980299. Layout Builder cannot be uninstalled while overrides exist. No easy way to revert all overrides. So this issue is when you have Layout Builder installed and you have an overrides enabled so that content can customize the layout, and there's no easy way to then come into the display settings and to just revert it. You have to manually go through each piece of content to see which one has overrides enabled. You can see I've got a bigger version of the screenshot. So you can see it's just a checkbox. The checkboxes are grayed out, and it just says you must revert all customized layouts of this display before you can disable this option. So not particularly helpful. So the issue proposes adding a button, which again I've got up here. So there's a it's either a link or a button that is titled disable layout builder for this display and revert all layout overrides. And you can see you get a confirmation form. So I should close this issue, keep clicking on it. That's the idea. I'm also I can demo it here. So I've got Umami site installed, and I'm on the for the recipes content type, I'm on the Manage Display tab under the full content. You can see it already has Layout Builder enabled, and it already has allow content items to customize our layout option enabled. So if I come into a recipe here, this vegan chocolate and nut brownies look very nice. I'm just going to come into the Layout tab, and I'm going to add a block. I'm just going to add a custom block. Let's just add a basic block, and we'll call it, just say test. That'll do to illustrate this. And then I will hit save layout. And you can see we've now got test up here. If I come back here and I reload this page, so with the patch applied now, you can see we have this in the admin theme, Claro, the name of our new admin theme. There's now a button I can click here. Again, the same button. It'll take me to this confirm form. If I hit confirm, it will go through an operation, and you can see now these buttons are enabled again. If I come back to here and I reload this page again, my test should have disappeared, which it has. So that is a general overview of the issue. I think the main thing that we're looking for feedback on with this issue is to understand, is this this sort of the button text, is that good? Is the updated description here? I believe they've updated it. Yes, the description text has changed slightly, and obviously we have a very standard confirm form here. So I'm going to pause there. Hopefully that made sense, and please do chime in if you have any questions or ideas for this or anything to add. I'll also say that Offer has joined us, so hello, Offer.
Thanks for the presentation. I think that's quite a big button there. So I think that must be like a way too much text for a button.
Right.
So
do that again. Yeah, bring the button back up. Yeah, because then it is quite noticeable, this button, quite big. Yeah, I was thinking that too.
And also on a like a zoomed in or like a narrow screen, then it's kind of fills everything up.
I also sorry.
Mhm.
So by thinking that what it actually does, it doesn't need to say all of that in a button. So it's kind of could be descriptive text or some description text or some kind of like there. So it would be like it says use layout builder. So we could say disable layout builder.
I also wonder about the number of buttons and areas for action items that we have on the page. And that makes me wonder if it would be better to combine the action items into a different area. So we have save, but then we have, manage layout as a button, and also disable layout builder now as a different button in a different area. And I think the process, I think that's a little confusing for users.
Right. I also know like so the description text is changed to because layout overrides are present, this must be done via disable, well, the button, basically the button text, implying that you can't uncheck this until you've went to this operation. Not sure how I feel about the description text on that.
Would it make sense to have the disable button closer to manage layout, not as part of the layout options?
Yeah, see, the implication is like it disables layout builder for this display and reverts all layouts. But the behavior I've observed is it doesn't actually disable layout builder, it just reverts all layout overrides. Like if I click it again and I go through the confirm, so layout builder is still enabled, and so is allow each content item. All it does is revert, it doesn't actually disable layout builder.
Yeah. Like now that you did that, you could uncheck use layout builder and finally you will disable layout builder. Yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah, I think if the description text, when they're grayed out, said that first you will need to revert your layouts before you can disable, and then we had another button for revert layouts, that would be more accurate.
Let me go through and because every time I disable it to make it appear again, I have to do this. So because we could probably just it's maybe not a good block to add. We could probably I could probably just start messing around with the inspector and see what we can come up with. Yeah, okay, there we go. So we definitely want to like, are we saying, so in the first instance, like this would just be something like that, because that's all it does. It doesn't actually disable layout builder, right?
Yeah, and do we need the word all? Could be more concise, maybe.
I don't, maybe because like the option allows each content item. So like this does it for all content that has layouts overrides enabled.
Would it be enough to have that described in the on the confirmation page? And does the confirmation page list who like did it have confirmation page? Yeah, so this could list all the which displays have overrides. So that would be useful reminder, especially if there is multiple administrators or site builders there who some create overrides to one part of the site and others create to the other part of the site. So somebody wants to revert but doesn't realize that somebody has added something. So kind of it would be useful to remind which layouts have overrides.
Okay, because this will just do it for yeah, so if I confirm, it will just do it for recipe content items, but it's not clear on this page like which specific display, because it just says this display, but that's like maybe needs to be clear about what display this is.
Yeah, but and then again, if it's only for this display, then why does it have the word all?
It's like
yeah,
it's kind of confusing.
yeah. Oh yeah, so all layouts for this display. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could easily see how somebody seeing all layouts on the button would think that that meant all layouts throughout the site.
Right. I guess I should change this too. So are we suggesting that it should, I mean, is there better kind of wording we could maybe use to describe that? Or do we need to just be clear that like it's for the specific display?
Maybe in the button just write revert layout overrides, and on the confirmation page provide the context which display it refers to.
Yeah. Yeah, because maybe the word all is unnecessary. So like in here, so revert, are you sure you want to revert? Would you keep all on this page, or?
In case if you set the scope with a display name, then all would be okay, in my humble opinion. But otherwise, it wouldn't be necessary.
I guess, let's see. So if we swapped, where am I? Sorry, this theme on my, there it is. The theme on my on the inspector here is kind of weird. It's not, yeah. So like, what do you for like, because I'm thinking like the name of the display, but then full display doesn't, because the name of it is full. Maybe something like this, or is that too much?
Could you go back to the other tab, please, for a second, and move and scroll up just for the context. Image display. I'm not sure if naming the recipe is needed.
Mhm.
I think full content display would be enough.
Yeah, so over here, so
Yeah.
like, what do you mean?
And I'm not sure. Would it make sense to leave out the second layout, the naming, meaning, are you sure you want to revert all layouts to the default for the content item full display, for the full content display?
Sorry, can you
Just-
say that again?
Just leave out for I mean, are you sure you want to revert all layouts to the default for full content display to remove the second layout word?
Oh, over here?
Yeah. Just an idea.
I'm not sure. Technically, the default would be not having, or could possibly be not having layout builder. And so that might be a little confusing.
Oh, okay. True.
Do we even need to say default? I mean, like, if you're over here and you're saying, you're in this context, like, you're aware that you're already aware that each content item can override its layout and that that's happened. So then revert layout overrides takes you to here. So you might already be aware of what you're about to do. So do we even need the word default? So it would just be like revert all layouts for full content display.
I think that's fine because it's saying revert, which implies you're sending them back to the default layout.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, we probably still want to keep the word display because so this is the name of, yeah, so full content over here is the name of the display mode. So like just as a for instance, if this was for teaser, it would be it would say something like, it would just say for teaser display. Wait, yeah. Does that make sense? Or if it was, I guess would be, I wonder what default would be. Like card would be, see, I can't, I don't think default actually has layout builder enabled, but let's just break everything and see what happens. Oh, I can't. Okay, I guess I can't do that for default. Let me just try another. Something else like article. Let's see. I feel like maybe it's because, yeah, maybe it's because of the, oh, is it because it's got, there we go. Okay. And then I'm gonna quickly create an article content item. Yeah, there we go. So be like, let's see what it says. Yeah, so if we took the pattern we had, that would say got too many tabs at this point. Yeah, it probably would just say default. Which I don't know if that quite reads right.
Well, is that human readable version? It's capitalized. So
Oh, is
does
it? Yeah, it is. Hang on. I guess it would probably also have EM tags around it.
I do think it would be handy to somewhere besides the breadcrumb have which content type or entity type you're reverting them for.
Yeah. Yeah, because it just says edit layout for recipe content item, which I think is because, yeah, it actually doesn't have, it has it in the URL, but not in here. So this would take you back to, okay, this takes you to the layout. Yeah, so something like in the, how would you do that then? So like in the breadcrumb, we'd have something. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure where that would go, but presumably it would say we would have something like after yeah, for recipe content item.
I wonder, would it make the sense to have the title reduced to revert all layouts for default display in, for example, recipe content item, and then add to the text prefix to the this action cannot be undone. Are you sure you want to proceed? This action cannot be undone.
Yeah, so I know this is based on what we do for like, I'm sure it's based on like what we do for other things like maybe for let me find an example to content. So yeah, it's a similar
Okay.
pattern to what we do for like delete, but if we wanted to, we could probably recommend changing it because the title of these confirm forms has always been a bit weird in the way that it does that. So you were suggesting adding so like what did you say, Ralph?
Are you sure you want to revert, or are you sure you want to proceed? This action cannot be undone. Something like that, and that you only provide the context in the title with revert or what is actually happening, and the addressing of the user inside the text body.
Okay.
And add after the default display also the recipe content type or recipe content item context to it. Though
Okay.
in context for screen readers, for example.
Okay, so like revert all layouts for default display, and then were you thinking like for recipe content item, or were you thinking something else?
Yeah, for example, I'm not sure about the prepositions. I'm not a native speaker, so thin ice for me.
I'm thinking this in a way that we shouldn't maybe change how it's done like usually, so it should follow the same pattern. So when we're deleting nodes, then the information about which nodes we are deleting, the titles they are listed like above that, this action cannot be undone. So the list goes there.
Yeah, we should follow the same pattern that we have everywhere else.
Yeah. I do wonder though if it's worth considering whether we change that pattern, because maybe that obviously that's a separate issue, but it might make the title shorter.
Yeah, I'm also thinking if that's kind of how Claro uses titles. So in a lot of custom things I've done, I kind of use different kinds of titles for different kinds of pages. So like admin pages, so there's a different ways to use titles. So we might want to look at it as a theme issue.
Yeah. I think this kind of pattern is quite consistent across themes because it's coming from other parts of core, but I see what you're saying. Okay, I wonder if we should, I'm thinking, because I guess we're about halfway through. So I maybe if we feel like we've discussed all we can today, we could move on to another issue, or we could keep discussing, because we can either then bring this up at another meeting to get some wider input. So I don't know if anybody has a preference there, if we want to keep trying to work away at this, or move on to a different issue.
Yeah, I could also come up with a couple of mock-ups about how we could group the buttons and things, so we could discuss it in the next meeting.
Yeah, that would be really great, because you made a great point about, and I totally agree with you about how the like we've got too many action buttons at different points going on here, and like, do we need these checkboxes if they're disabled is another thing I'm thinking. So yeah, that would be great, and maybe we can I'll take a note of some of the things we suggested, and then we can maybe bring this back up at the next meeting, if that works.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks.
Okay, great. Ralph, are you okay to talk about the issue? I think it was the issue I almost started presenting at the start of the meeting.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, let me stop sharing. I think it was the one about the reset button, wasn't it?
No, the one you initially.
Oh, the user help text. Yeah.
User help text for admin.
Yeah.
But
okay.
I've been looking at the reset button, so that's also a possibility. But maybe if we don't have time, maybe another time.
You could also present the reset button. It's fine. That's the issue we talked about with Aaron. We wanted to go with, so you could also go.
Yeah, let's go with if you're ready to present, Ralph, we could go with that one.
Or should I? Okay. Simo could also do it. No problem.
Do you have a preference, Simo?
I can do it. Yeah, no problem. So this issue is issue number 2833388. Rest button shows on exposed filter defaults. So here we are looking at admin content page, and I have here added some content so that there is just very simple content with just titles, and I have limited actually this content list so that it's easy to get those to get this spread to multiple pages. So here we have the default filters: title, content type, published status, language, and we can apply them. But when we go to the next page without choosing any of the filters, then we still get this reset button there appearing. And clicking this reset button, what it does, it seems to go to the first page. If we go to the third page, rest button returns us to the first page. So when we look at the URL, we see that even if we don't use any of the visible filters, when you go to the next page, we have title set to type, status, language codes. We have all of these in the URL, even if we don't have this have them displayed here in the user interface. And that's why if there is something there, so this rest button doesn't actually interact with this user interface. It's not so much related to these, but related to what reads here on the URL. So when I click reset, it just takes everything away from the URL. So I think that's basically why it's confusing, because it's inside this box of exposed filters. So obviously it should be doing something with these ones, but it's not. So kind of, I think it should reset what is set here to defaults, and therefore it shouldn't appear unless this is set.
Okay.
The thing is, another thing is that I have like a 9.4.5 here core version, and I applied that patch and it applied, but it didn't seem to change the behavior. So I think the patch is not ready there, but I think it's also important to notice that this clearly is confusing because it appears in a context where nothing has been changed. So resetting.
Right. So it seems to me that, and this might be oversimplifying from a technical perspective, but it seems to me the obvious thing is, yeah, the button shouldn't display if none of the actual filters have been set.
Yeah. So that's kind of the obvious thing. Then another one is it's kind of making, if we want to make it complicated, we could select here some of the filters and is not yet filter, and then then we can ask if clicking reset here should reset those. And that's something it actually does. So it kind of looks like it works, but it doesn't appear when we select these. So that's also something. So that's not really a problem, because here it does reset them. But this, when we do something without touching these, then it shouldn't appear.
Yeah, go ahead, Ralph. I noticed you have commented on the issue quite a bit as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's the scope of the reset button should only to the filter context, but if those filters aren't changed and it's just if you went to page 2, for example, and then the reset button appears, it's basically a back button, and that functionality has also a purpose and has a sense of existence. And the problem is inside the issue there isn't no how to put it, the reasoning why that functionality was brought in for reverting to page 1, or why it's behaving like it's behaving and what the intention was. That's the problem. But I think basically the reset button inside that field set should only reset those title, content type, published, state, and language. But the functionality itself for going back to page 1, maybe in a follow-up or in a separate issue, would still be reasonable, either with a button back to page 1, or at the moment you have the paginated navigation only at the bottom. And Simo, for example, set the number of posts to 4 or 5 only. But if you have, for example, 50 and you scroll down to you have to scroll down to the bottom of the page to get to the navigation and to get back to page 1 or another one. And maybe it would be worth a thought to place the paginated navigation also at the top of the list as well, that you have at the bottom and at the top of the list. That's navigation. That would be also an option.
Yeah, I see. I see what you mean about that. I don't know if that's I saw that I might have seen that pattern once or twice. We do have we do have the apply to selected items button twice. We've got that at the bottom and the top of the list. So I guess if it was having the pagination at the bottom and the top, I suppose could be useful. But maybe that is worth like opening a follow-up issue to consider whether that can be properly considered. I guess from what you're saying, it sounds like that, ideally, if you haven't specified any filters, the button shouldn't be displayed regardless of what page you're on. But if you have specified some filters, it should always be there, and it seems like it should still perform the function of taking you back to the first page if you clear out the filters.
One thing we could like when it's here, the rest button is located here inside this box with these filters. So that's kind of a changes how it should work in relation to it. If the rest button would be outside of this filter box, then it could kind of reset the view. Like it could reset everything that we see, like that's set here. It could reset this one. It wouldn't be so much of a problem because it doesn't claim to reset a certain part, but it would just reset everything. So if it didn't appear here inside this box, then it wouldn't be kind of misleading. Then it would be a question of whether or not it's useful. So if we would move this reset button to someplace else, then it would be okay for it to reset also the page.
Yeah. My preference would be to keep it next to the filter button, because that, the idea, and generally speaking, when they're using filters like this, the reset button is meant to just reset what you filtered in. I think the fact that you might be on a in my mind, the way I look at it is it makes sense that the reset button brings you back to the first page when you click it, because you're resetting the filters, and the filters provide you with a different view of that list of items, a more refined view. So there's probably going to be less pages. So if we don't take you back to the start, the page 2 you were on before, either may not exist or there it might have different items on. So to me it makes sense that it resets the pagination, but only if I think it should only be there if you've specified one or more of the filters.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that makes sense. And I actually remember tackling some bugs on production sites that had had this kind of thing, that they got problems when there was a filtering that was took when somebody filtered, went to let's say page 3 and adjusted filters so that there would be only one page of content, so there would be error messages. So
Yeah,
yeah, that
you might end
that
up
makes
on
sense.
you might end up on a page not found page.
Yeah.
Offer, Emily, do either of you have any thoughts on this? Or is everybody happy?
Yeah, no additional comments.
No, yeah, nothing additional.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, we're almost we're close to the hour anyway, so we probably don't have time to look at any other issues. Ralph or Simo, do either of you want to would either of you be up for commenting on the issues, saying summarizing what we discussed? And I will collate the feedback from our previous issue.
Yeah, so the conclusion is that the thing that how it should work is just that what the button does is okay, but it shouldn't appear unless the filters are changed from the default values.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's where we got to.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you. One final thing. Thank you to Ralph for reminding us of this. Is there is a poll in the chat of the UX channel for and I'm going to find it again.
I've repasted it in the chat.
Oh, perfect. So a while back, Benji, I think it was Benji, proposed the idea that we should have a focus for issues that we try to target or triage or look at for the coming months. And the 3 items were the user edit page, the appearance page, and user permissions. The vote is currently tied 3-3 for user edit page and user permissions. Nobody shows any love to the appearance page, clearly. So Ralph's posted the link to the particular Slack poll in the chat, but I'll also just reshare it in the Slack channel so that there's a reminder there. And so yeah, if you haven't voted in that, we would appreciate if you would. But I think that's everything. So thank you unless anybody has anything else, thank you for coming today. And I believe Benji will be back next week and we'll do it again.
Thanks for running the meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a
Nice
good weekend.
Yep.
Likewise.
That's
Bye.
Bye.